Ibn Abidin, Allama Shami, who was essentially an investigator. He used to investigate what's the mashhur mazhab, what is the mashhur opinion, legal opinion in the Hanafi fiqh. And as far as the blasphemy case goes, he writes in Risail ibn Abidin, which is a beautiful book. Beautiful book. I actually photocopied translations and distributed around. I don't think there are a lot of copies around. And he explains this, that please try to understand that this alternative position that has been created is based on a misreading of what the actual opinion of Imam Abu Hanifa is. And then he quotes Imam Abu Yusuf from Kitab al-Faraj, quotes Qazi Ayyaz from Ash-Shifa, quotes Imam Ibn Taymiyyah citing Imam Abu Hanifa from Salim Muslim. He quotes Imam Tahawi from Sharh al-Tahawi. And he says that try to understand a Muslim is not to be tried as a had punishment, but as a rida, apostasy. And while some people might say apostasy itself is had as well, the only difference is, and he explains, for apostasy, a Muslim has to convert to a non-Muslim and then stay on it. And he used to be convinced for 3 days. He used to be tortured, some people even say. He used to be given a dars, he used to explain, try and revert back. And he says for non-Muslims, to say that this is a had, and the word that he uses is ajeeb baat. I mean, our governor Samantha went ahead and said it's a black law. And our Imam Shami said, ajeeb baat, I don't really see what's the difference. Because both the cases, they're essentially addressing the same idea. He says, the hall wala quwwat ye ajeeb baat hai, kash ke in logon ne tahqiq ki hoti. What is the actual opinion of Imam Hanifa, of Imam Abu Yusuf, Imam Tawri, Imam Tahawi? And then he gives his legal opinion, and this is in 2 books. And I would like you guys to go to all these madrasa, Jamia Shafia, and ask them, Fatawa Shami Risail ibn Abidin, what does he say? I will also write it down for everyone later on. These are 2 very important books. It's like a history lesson. And then, 100 years later, we have what is an example of the most beautiful ijma that I've ever heard in any issue of fiqh. A consensus. And 450 Hanafi scholars, 450 Hanafi scholars validated a book which was essentially in response to Wahhabi criticism on Hanafi fiqh. And in that book, he says, Kanat tashtimu, the hadith on Qabil Ashraf, the words that are used, Kanat tashtimu. And the grammar tense in that is past continuous. Basically, Mr. Zaheer was saying that there are some hadiths in which apparently people committed, apparently people had been committing. And that is what was missing in the istidlal of Imam Bazazi, Imam Ahmad. And he wrote a fatwa that Kanat tashtimu in the hadith literature is an indication that he who is a habitual offender means does it again. For law students, they know that what it means. Habitual offender means that if someone's been convicted of it an n number of times, and when you essentially when the hakim feels okay, this is too much, he just uses this idea of a pardon, goes back, does it again, comes back, then he can be killed. And his pardon will be accepted, first time offense, second time offense, till he becomes a habitual offender. And it will not be a had punishment. And this was validated by 450 Hanafi scholars. Now, if that's not an ijma, I don't know what is. And today, obviously a lot of people come on television, they say there's been an ijma in traditional scholarship, and I really don't understand what they're talking about. Because this is history. This is not opinion. I'm scared. I don't want to give my opinion here. I'm merely representing a sort of a live literature review of the past 1400 years. This is an ijma that needs to be disclosed to the world. Imam Ibn Abidin's findings of this misunderstanding needs to be revealed to the world. And obviously, I met Ismail Qureshi Saab yesterday, Advocate Ismail Qureshi, the guy who drafted the law, the devil himself, if you may. And it was funny, man, and he explained a lot of things very candidly. Because essentially my parents are from Jamaat Islami, so he took me in as the, one of his own. So he explained. He hugged me for 2 minutes. I felt guilty. I've been hugged by Ismail Qureshi. Anyway, but